and welcome to A Voice for All. I'm your host, Jamila. I'm so glad to have you. If you ever want to get in touch with me, because you know how much I love hearing from you guys, tweet me at MissJamPCCS. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/MissJamGamble. When I was promoting this show, a lot of you were actually giving me some great feedback, so thank you for that. On this episode, I have one of my favorite organizations. I know I'm not supposed to say favorites, but I can't help it. Geneva Center has been an organization I have idolized since I was like 19. I applied every single year, never got hired, but guess what? I got a show, and now they're on it. Andrew is back. Andrew, you were with us in season 2.
I think it was season 2, yeah.
And how we have both grown up.
We've seen a lot of each other
We have.
online.
We have. And now I'm seeing even more of you because
That's
I'm
right.
completing the advanced ABA course on Geneva, which is why we have you on today to talk about e-learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I know I've been getting this a lot more now where people are approaching me and saying, oh, I have your voice in my head. And
Yes.
where did I meet you again? Oh, I'm taking the online course.
Yeah, no, it's true though, because I'll be dealing with a situation and I go, what did Andrew say? What did he say in Module 4? So let's break it down. For professionals who are out there, a lot of people don't realize that there is learning courses available through Geneva.
Part of the Training Institute, we can actually go anywhere and kind of do anything we want. So if we want to try something a little bit new, like putting on an online course, making it accessible to Saskatchewan, which we've done,
Wow.
we have that flexibility.
And flexibility is so important because, as you know, my schedule is insane.
You're busy.
But I'm still getting to do my course, and it works with my schedule, and I'm feeling like I'm taking some tools for the night, and then I'm able to apply it the next day at work.
Yeah, and that was our goal with creating online courses. We still do in-class training, so come on in, stay with us for the day or 3 days.
True.
But we've been getting a lot of interest and feedback around the option of doing things on your own schedule. Like you said, people are out of town, they have other jobs that they're working, they want to be able to do 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And with our online courses, that's an option now.
So I'm doing the ABA. What other courses are available? Because I know there's like...
There's a lot, and we keep developing more every year. So it depends on where you're coming from. If you're a parent, if you're an educator, there are different levels of courses. So one of our most popular, well-known courses is our Autism Intervenor course.
Yes.
And that is everything A to Z autism. And in that course, we've been doing it live for well over 20 years now.
Wow.
But we decided we need to get online as well and just reach even a bigger audience. So that course is online.
So what kind of people do you find applying for those courses?
With the Autism Intervenor course, that is kind of everyone who is becoming new to autism. A lot of families, a lot of parents.
Interesting.
A lot of people changing careers. They've heard about autism and they want to know all about it.
So with the courses, what is some of the material that people will find when they're participating?
Right, so like you mentioned, we have several different courses. Autism Intervenor is sort of everything to know about autism and support strategies.
Right.
We have a Charting a Path to Success, and that's an introductory course specific for educators that we were funded by the Ministry of Education to develop. And that's for people in the education field, could be teachers, could be education assistants, who are new to supporting individuals with autism, don't have a lot of background knowledge or experience, but are going to be working hands-on with them sort of on a daily basis.
One thing I realized that I liked about the course is that I think there's this misconception that if you're trying to expand your learning, you're going to be forking out a lot of cash. But I find the courses are actually very inexpensive or moderately inexpensive.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make it accessible. There's always the balance between costs and budgets. Our department is also not funded in terms of developing training unless it's a special project like with the ministry. So in order for Geneva Centre to do that and put on these courses, we do charge what we can in terms of covering costs, but we're not for profit. So any money we make rolls back into better service, better training down the road for more people to access.
And Geneva literally does everything. Like,
it's kind of our goal.
Like, what don't you guys do?
Well, we have this new saying around the office where we want to provide supports basically from birth to death.
Right.
So early intervention has always been talked about. It's always been funded very well. We've always had some adolescence programs. We've had adult programs for many years now, but we want to get bigger and do more, especially with the adult population transitioning into post-secondary education, into employment
Right.
settings. So we want to be able to do as much as we can to service the entire population with autism across the entire lifespan.
Which a lot of people don't even think of, I find. And when I
Yeah.
say a lot of people, I refer to the general public. Like, you know, they're think about children with autism, but they don't realize that child grows into a teen,
I
who grows
know.
into an adult. There's a
Yeah.
whole lifespan that's ahead of them. Going back to the courses, you're saying there was online and in class, but there's also much larger events that Geneva puts on. Like there's the summer training.
Yeah, so we do our Summer Training Institute, which is funded by the Ministry of Education, and that is usually a several-day conference now in combination with some online training specific for educators in the province of Ontario. But in addition to that, we have our International Symposium,
I'm so excited.
and it's such a big event that we can't even do it every year. It's every 2 years
Yeah.
because it takes over a year to plan it. This year's symposium will be coming up November 30th, December 1st, and December 2nd. And at last check, don't quote me on this, but I believe we have about over 20 invited speakers.
Let me break down my excitement. Like I said, I have loved Geneva for many years. I have not been able to go to the symposium, but guess what? This year, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for
I'm
it.
a live blogger.
Not only are you going to symposium, you're going to be part of
I am
symposium.
so pumped. So if you're not going to be there, don't worry. I'll be Snapchatting, periscoping, tweeting, Facebooking, everything with information.
That's fantastic.
I'm
And,
so
and it
pumped.
falls right in line with what we're trying to do
Yep.
at Geneva Centre. We know not everyone can get out to Toronto, access everything that we have to offer. So the more we can find creative ways of getting it online and partnering with people who have expertise like you do, the happier we are. So we're glad to be doing that with you.
And it's not only what Geneva offers, it's who you meet at these conferences. You know, it's like, I call it the Oscars of autism.
That's a good way of putting it.
You're meeting all these different speakers, you're meeting educators and parents and community organizations all in one spot. And it's literally like this buffet of learning.
It is, and what's also amazing about it is that there isn't this sort of veil of celebrity or expertise.
No.
You walk into a session, you hear one of the top researchers in the field of genetics and autism, and then you go and talk to them for 5 minutes afterwards.
Yes.
And they're happy to do it.
It's so true.
Yeah,
Totally accessible,
absolutely.
and the whole vibe is so cool. If you want to register for any of Geneva's information, just so you know, their information's down below. Andrew, you have been like the biggest source of information when it comes to learning. I know every time I come on Twitter, from your tweets to what Geneva's
Right.
saying, it's so easy for people to connect with Geneva. What's future goals?
What aren't our future
I know.
goals? We have so many.
Yeah.
Specifically within Training Institute. Like I said, this is a department of Geneva Centre that's not funded by ministry
Yeah.
and doesn't have any specific mandate. What that means is that we get to listen to what's coming around the corner, what are the latest trends, what are people asking for, where are their service gaps, and really we can start to explore any avenue in terms of developing a service, customizing a training, having some sort of short-term program to fulfill some of that. I'm happy to say that we are doing another development of courses for our summer training event coming up this year.
Of course.
And we are getting to do some really interesting topics. We are going to explore more play-based kindergarten learning around students with autism.
I like that.
We are getting a lot of requests, or I guess a lot of observations of people once they take the ABA course,
Yeah.
saying, you know, does that apply to the rest of my kids? Does that apply to my family at home? Does that apply to my coworkers?
Wow.
And we say, yeah, it does. Let's develop a course on how ABA can be applied beyond just the classroom, but how you can use it to benefit your own work performance, your own home life, how you can get better interaction with your coworkers. So we're going to be developing a course on a topic such as that. So there's a lot coming.
I incorporate ABA at home all the time with my husband.
Absolutely.
First, you know, pick up the garbage, then eat your cookie.
There you go. And it works. It works when you follow through.
It totally works. Honestly, Andrew, I have, and I've said it time and time again, I have so much respect for Geneva. If you are an educator, a parent, someone who is just the general population and you want to know about autism, because autism is not just for a small group, it's a community issue. I really encourage you to visit Geneva's website. There is a whole page of information and take it all in. They have such supportive staff and very inviting and opening staff that if you have questions, you have concerns, you could easily reach out to them, whether it's online on Twitter or you're calling them at their location. In terms of the symposium, if somebody wanted to become a speaker, how does that happen?
So the Geneva Center Symposium event is an invited speaker event only.
Okay.
And we do that because we really want to curate the best experience and develop a theme and a flow to the conference. So interested speakers can contact us any of our avenues in. You can call front desk reception,
Right.
and it'll make its way to the right department, and basically saying, this is who I am, I've heard about your event, I would like to speak. We'll follow up with you.
So it's almost like a TED Talk kind of thing, right? Like you're getting the cream of the crop.
That's absolutely the point, and that's why I said it takes over a year to plan an event.
It's like a wedding.
this. And to imagine coordinating everyone's schedule, all the top presenters in the world.
International speakers too, right?
Yeah, we do, yeah. So in order to facilitate that event, we need to start early, work with everyone's schedule, find a theme, find ways to connect people into that bigger symposium community. So at the end of the day, all that you see is a flawless event that just leaves you inspired at the end of the day.
I am so excited for it. And again, I will be live blogging. I'll be soaking up all the information and sharing it as well.
I can't wait.
Yeah. And that's it. Are we good? And we'll be catching you after the commercial break. And welcome back to Voice for All. I am your lovely host, Jamila Gamble. And if at any point you want to find me, I'm very findable. Twitter at MissJamPCCS. And you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/MissJamGamble. I have more Geneva-ness.
We're so excited to be here.
How pumped are you?
It is the best. It's a wonderful thing also to follow you on Twitter. So Andrew, who was on just before, the two of us follow you and we love it.
Well, you know what? Since you gave me such a nice, shout out, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Who are you?
So I am also part of the Training Institute. So Andrew spoke about the Training Institute before and about how that's one of the departments at Geneva Center. So the two of us do the faculty.
You do everything. That's what you do. But we're focusing on social skills, which again, I've met people who are unfamiliar with working with someone with autism. And when they hear social skills, they immediately think of, say, Rain Man. They're like, but wait, they have social skills? A lot of people don't think that. So let's clarify that.
Okay, so one of the diagnostic criteria for autism is that you would have some challenges with social interaction.
Right.
So a big part of it would be, what can we at Geneva Center do to take that challenge and turn it into a success?
And how would you go about doing that with families and educators?
So in our clinical department, we have social skill programs. We have behavior consultants who work on social skills. We have weekend programs, after school programs.
Again, so much.
And then in the Training Institute, we actually have workshops that we do around social skills, and teachers can come to them, parents, and so we're able to reach out beyond Geneva Center as well.
So for anybody who's tuning in, and again, maybe they don't know anything about autism and social skills, what's some of those lack of social skills that we might see in someone who might have autism?
Well, one that a lot of people might not really think of when they're interacting with somebody with autism is that research shows that a lot of our kids with autism might not pick up on body language. So
Very true.
imagine how difficult that would be. So in the classroom, for example, you want the kids to quiet down.
Yeah.
And the teacher might go,
Yeah.
and the majority of our kids in the class would say, oops, gotta quiet
True,
down.
true.
And if you're not picking up on some of that body language, some of those kids with autism might find that hard.
And it's interesting you say that because one of my students who I currently work with, I think of her as such a unique case with her autism. It's truly beautiful to see how she just interprets the world. When and I do it on purpose, I act angry to teach her those kind of body language things. I'll cross my arms. She immediately covers my mouth and goes, love, love, like, please don't yell, just, and so she's got that. She picked that up. And again, that comes through role playing and modeling, right?
Absolutely. So modeling, role playing. Also, we do a lot of teaching in context, which means you're going to try out that emotion in a moment that makes sense. So in a moment when, maybe something happened to cause anger.
Yes.
And so that's what we do as well. So we'll do a lot of our social skills group will actually have that component.
So for families who might be watching, how can they promote social skills at home for their child?
I think the big piece is to prioritize it. A lot of times our families will come to us with a whole range of different skills that they want to teach.
Right.
But thinking about just the skills out in the community. So greeting people, keeping up with your peers, trying to figure out what the peers are doing and how are they socializing, and maybe working on some of those skills. And trying to figure out also in different places and in different environments, what skills should I use?
True.
So I might use one particular skill when I'm with my teacher, but when I'm out in the playground, I might completely change it up and try something else.
And how would you even teach that? Like I know how, but like for someone watching, how would you even?
It sometimes can feel a little bit overwhelming because we have so much that we want to teach. So we have, in a lot of our programs, and when Andrew and I do the training on social skills as well, you kind of break it down to the core skills, things like imitation, things like greetings, joining in, what that's like to sometimes just go up to the rest of the group of kids and just kind of stand there and join in, maybe show them a toy. So you start with some of those core skills, and then slowly you're building up to other ones.
I think one thing I want people to realize is that when you're teaching or interacting with somebody with autism, you first and foremost, you're interacting with a person. Things don't change. Like, oh my goodness, person with autism, everything, flips. I have to do things in a robotic style. You just be human.
And really, I love how you said individualized, because every single student, every single child that comes to us, or even a teenager or an adult, they all have their story, and they all have what they've brought to us already. And so you start there and you say, okay, this person obviously has autism, but this is also a person first, and let's meet them where they're at.
And you said teenager, which made me think right away, oh, that's right. The young children I work with are going to grow up into teenagers, and they're going to grow up into adults after that.
Exactly.
In teaching social skills, how do you adapt for each age group?
Well, that's the whole thing. So I think a big piece is some of the social skills that you learn in childhood. Teachers and parents and educators really need to keep an eye on the fact that this child is growing up, and what might have been all right when you're 6 may no longer be cool, may no longer be relevant when you're 10, 11, 12 years old and going into the adolescent time. So really taking a look at the child's age, looking at what would be relevant for high school, for example. What are the other kids doing? What will maybe make me stand out? So maybe I'm going to teach some skills to help some fitting in. We call it the hidden curriculum, and it actually comes from Dr. Brenda Smith-Miles. So it's sort of the skills that are a little bit more abstract, but somehow all the other kids seem to be picking up on them.
Yes, it's all those, the hidden, the secrets, or the unwritten rules. I was telling you before the interview began, the 5-year-old I work with, who's obsessed with social media. She's totally all about it. She'll get my phone. I want to Instagram.
What a perfect example.
I want to Facebook. And I'm like, you know what? When you go to grade 1, grade 2, that might be relevant. So I'm going to teach you how to Snapchat today.
And how important is that too? It's important to teach our kids the social skills that their age group is doing, and so that they get exposed to that. But then also, obviously, we have to just make sure that it's adapted to some
True.
of the other skills our kids are needing.
One concern I hear a lot from parents I work with is that my child is not being social. I want my child to be social. What advice do you have for those parents who are worried with what they're seeing right now and they're not thinking down the line that things can change?
So again, I had mentioned earlier that prioritizing the social skill development is great, and also peer awareness is huge. So that's something that we're working a lot
Yes.
at Geneva Centre for. So it's also getting your child out into the community, getting your child to participate in a variety of different programs.
And this applies to adolescents and adults.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? There's date nights and dances and things
Absolutely.
like that.
And also making sure that you really keep an eye on what motivates that child or motivates that teen or that adult. And there are hobby groups, there are programs out there where
Absolutely.
you will meet other children, other adults, other teens who find the same things motivating.
True,
And so
true.
get them into those programs as well to really get those connections started.
And I know you're going to be excited to even talk about it. Let's go back to the symposium. There's going to be some speakers there who are
Yes.
also on the spectrum and they're focusing on relationships.
Relationships, dating, love.
Wait a second, did you say dating and love? So people
Absolutely.
with autism who lack social skills have the ability to want to date and love somebody? What?
It really, you know what, it really is important for everyone to remember
Yes.
that our individuals with autism, they're just like us, and they really do want to have those really special, important relationships in their lives. And so that's a part of our curriculum as well. In different programs, we also focus on how do you ask somebody on a date? How do you use the skills you're using to start that initial conversation?
Oh, that's great.
And quite a few individuals date and have meaningful relationships, and all kinds of things are happening
Because
out there.
they're people first with
Absolutely.
needs, you know, and I
Absolutely.
hope whoever's watching, you know, even if you don't have a direct connection to somebody with autism, you would understand that yes, they
Absolutely.
have needs. They're adults who have
Absolutely.
needs, you know. With the symposium
Yes.
and relationship skills, are there going to be any specific sessions that focus on skill sets and
So we are going to have some first-hand account sessions. We are going to have some films being screened related to autism and relationships. One name comes to mind, Lindsay Nebeker. She's a woman on the spectrum who will be speaking about her experience. So absolutely. So look forward to that in symposium.
even
That will be definitely there.
even with you saying that, one thing that really made me excited to hear was that there's actual individuals on the spectrum speaking for themselves.
We absolutely love how many times every symposium we are just so excited to hear from people on the spectrum. And sometimes, you know, the room will be packed and there will be these wonderful speakers who happen to have autism, but they're sharing the newest information about autism. They're sharing from their perspective.
Yes.
They might say something or share a story that really opens people's eyes. And so having
it's
people on
their
the spectrum,
story.
absolutely.
It's their story. Not
Yes.
every story is going to be the same.
Absolutely.
And without naming certain organizations who do not allow people with autism to speak for themselves, kudos to Geneva for promoting that experience and letting people to express themselves. Because who else better to learn it from, right?
I think one of the most wonderful things about working at Geneva Centre is we have individuals on the spectrum who we can consult with, who we can speak with. They share their stories, and Andrew and I at Training Institute are meeting individuals out in the community when we do our training who have autism, and it keeps us fresh. It keeps us, you know, alive with new stories every day to share. So it's great.
And this
We
is
love
why I have Geneva on this show. Every time I have Geneva on, I leave feeling like, fresh, new information. It's in me, and I hope you had the same feeling too, having Geneva back on. Thank you so much. Information is below. Their e-learning, symposium, summer training, learning, and connections are waiting for you. This has been a good episode of Voice for All. I'll catch you guys next week.